Imagine having the life of your dreams. Not temporary cash and glory, but happiness and inner peace. Explore new ways to be a creator and take your own journey into greatness. Is it possible? What does it take to make that happen? It takes the person known for extreme results. He's called the cage breaker and the ultimate catalyst. Coming back from the brink of death and now crushing it for himself and his clients, this is Your Ultimate Life Podcast with Kellan Fluckiger.
Hello and welcome to today's episode of Your Ultimate Life, episode 516. And today we're putting down the seventh stone in the Pillar of Truth. Wow. So after today, the Pillar of Truth will be built. Someone asked me why there's 7 stones in each pillar, and I simply designed a model. There's 7 pillars in the Palace of Power and 7 stones in each pillar. The reason I did that is because it is important to understand that power comes from many sources. If you don't have all the sources and you're missing some of them, it's going to be hard for you to get the kind of power you need to create both the business and the life, the impact, the difference you want to make in the world. And the people that I work with, you listening to this podcast, Your Ultimate Life, you're interested in creating your ultimate life. Every person who sincerely digs into that question always says they want to help. They want to be of service. Well, that is exactly what we're here to do, because the ultimate life is a life of purpose, prosperity, and joy that you create by serving with your divine gifts. And that is all about service. I have a sign on the wall in my office, and it reminds me of how I conduct business. And it's really simple. It says, I never look for clients. I look for people to love, opportunities to serve, and problems to solve. Why would I say that when my business is finding clients and coaching them to be the very best version of themselves? Well, the answer is really simple. If I go looking for clients, then my eyes are blind to things that I need to see. Because the first thing I need to do as a coach is learn to love those people I want to help. Now, that might sound a little squishy and woo-woo, but let me explain what I mean. Love is, there's romantic love, and there's platonic love, and there's brotherly and sisterly, and love of a mom and of a mother bear and all that other stuff. The love I'm trying to talk about is not complicated. It's actually very simple. Love is a choice to use your spiritual, physical, emotional, and mental resources to serve someone in their highest and best interest. That's it. If you choose to use the resources you have, spiritual, physical, emotional, mental resources, to serve someone in their highest and best interest, then you are demonstrating love toward that person. The more you're doing that, the more you love them. That's not complicated. If I'm only willing to go out of my way a little bit for someone, I'm not demonstrating much love to them. Those that go way out of their way and sometimes jeopardize their own safety in life for someone else are demonstrating enormous love. Now, why did I say spiritual, physical, emotional, and mental resources? Well, it's an arbitrary division of life. I think of life as that. We have a spiritual part, and we all feel that, and we know it. Sometimes we don't nurture it or pay attention, but it's there. We have a physical part, which sometimes is functioning really well. My body's working really well right now. But there was a time not too long ago when it was broken, and I was in and out of the hospital and in a coma, and I died in the summer of 2018, so a little over 3 years ago. So then my physical body wasn't working at all. It was in the process of teaching me some of the language of the world and the truth of the world, the truth of eternity, about growth and about connecting to the divine. And in that particular circumstance, I had a near-death experience, and I wrote about that in the book, Meeting God at the Door, Conversations, Choices, and Commitments of a Near-Death Experience. And it was really interesting. I had a podcast episode that I was interviewed for, a long podcast about reality and the nature of reality and so forth. And they specifically wanted to talk about that near-death experience and what had happened, what I saw, what I learned, and all that good stuff. And that was great. And here's the truth. They were trying to talk about reality as how we interpret it and if we construct our own reality and, all those kinds of questions that go around in that space. And it was the conversation we had was so powerful that one of the hosts was, teared up and was weeping. There are things that we can know for sure, for truth, for power, no matter what. And most of those real powerful ones fall outside the realm of measurement and demonstrability. They do. You can't measure love, except you can see the effects. How much does someone use their SPEM, spiritual, physical, emotional, and mental resources to serve someone and bless them in their highest and best interest? You can see the evidences of love, but the feeling itself, fear is the same way on the other end of the spectrum. The opposite of love is not hate, it's fear. Fear engenders all those things. Fear of, losing yourself, fear of dying, fear of failure, fear of all that stuff. So none of those things are measurable, right? And that plays right into what we're talking to today about truth. And today, the last stone in this pillar is that truth is eternal. Truth is not changeable. We talked about it being foundational, and we talked about it being principle-based. If you limit yourself in measuring truth to just those things that you can measure with the yardstick, an electron microscope, or some other laboratory measurement, that's great. You can find things that you think are true and that measure true right now. We all know that scientific things change all the time because we make further refinements and discovery. One of the most interesting that I follow that's in that category right now is the nature of matter. We used to believe that matter was solid, that, the desk and that I'm sitting at, or the chair I'm sitting on, or the floor I'm walking on was somehow solid. We now know it's not. We now know it is unbelievably random energetic particles popping in and out of existence without predictability. And somehow there is an organizing force that keeps that randomness organized so that this desk stays a desk. And we have no idea how that organizing force makes that happen. But at the smallest level, particles pop in and out of existence all the time. Something that used to be science fiction, the zero-point energy field, is now a central tenet of physics. And we realize space isn't empty, but it's teeming with activity. So those, quote, truths change all the time. There are eternal truths, principally founded on love, integrity, kindness, forgiveness, that are eternal. They are triumphant, they are powerful, and they far outweigh those demonstrable truths that we play with and measure. Now, we need those because we need to create cell phones. And, I've got a metal thermos in front of me that's got something I'm drinking right now. And I've got a light that shines on the book that I'm using, for this podcast. Got a couple of notes in there. We need all those things. But if we limit ourselves to those, we're missing the glory, the beauty, the depth, and the power of this existence, this frame that we have while we're in this body. We're missing the good stuff. That's like, not having the real cool stuff that you're designed to have. Why would you do that? I don't know. Let's not do that. So here's the things. The truth is eternal. You can ignore that fact, you can pretend that it's not so, or you can take advantage of that fact and build yourself a rich, deep, and textured life, the ultimate life, based on serving with your divine gifts. Running around, I used to do this, running around thinking the thing that measured success was how many cars I had in the garage and how many zeros in my bank account and how many vacations I took and how many, ski clubs I belonged to and season passes I had for this, that, and the other. That is so empty. And it's funny because when I was busy enjoying all that, they were distracting. I was distracted at the moment by all that excitement. But there was no deep, lasting joy. They happened, and then they were gone. And then you go find another one, and then they're gone. So let's talk about what you know. What do you really know? Sometimes that's a scary question for people because they realize they don't know anything. that really don't know anything. And that is a sad place to be, because here are some things I know. I know you and I are divine beings. We are created by the divine intelligence. Put whatever name on it you want. I call it God. Some people call it the universe and the universal mind and whatever. But we're created by that. We're not an accident. I know that. Absolute, bulletproof, eternal truth. Another eternal truth I know for sure I'm sharing with you is that you have gifts and talents beyond those that you've developed while you were here doing whatever you do. Maybe you became a great chess player, pianist, skier, or a business mind, product creator, whatever. You brought gifts and talents with you that were given to you in your intentional and divine creation. You've felt that many times, and maybe you haven't known what to do with that truth. Okay, it's still true. The third thing I know for sure is that you have a purpose here. That purpose spans your entire life. Now, I don't mean there's only one thing. I mean, you have a purposeful life, and every phase of your life has a purpose. And for a long time, I ignored that truth. It didn't make it not true, but I ignored it. It's still an eternal truth. Now, I know what that is. My mission is to lift and bless as many people as I can with the gifts and talents that I have so that they can realize their divine nature, find their own gifts, and then serve each other with those gifts. Now, some of the ways I've been given to do that were my gifts. I have a good radio voice. I've been told that like a million times. So my speaking is powerful. I have musical talent. So I love to create music, and the music I create is powerful. The writing that I do is powerful in the book. So I have a gift in writing and speaking and music. Those happen to be some gifts that I have. I don't know what yours are, but I absolutely know without question that you have them. I also know the fourth truth is that all the help that I need and that you need is available from this earthly side and the eternal side. We were not put down here to flounder and fail. We were put down here to focus and have faith. And I don't mean that in the abstract sense. Faith in yourself, faith in the truth that you have divine mission and purpose and talent, and faith that there are directions and signs that let you move in that direction. I've just finished reading The Alchemist, or I'm just almost on the second time through, Paulo Coelho, and he talks about omens and the language of the world and the soul of the world and all that stuff. And it's exactly the things that I'm talking about. I love that book, and that's why I've read it a second time. All kinds of really powerful metaphors. And if you haven't taken the opportunity to read The Alchemist, you should. Worldwide bestseller, translated in a zillion languages and so forth. Now, here is something that's really valuable if you want to take it. The truths that I gave you are true and they're eternal. Now, what you do with them is up to you. There is always a choice. Like what I know about our relationship to infinity and the eternal is that there's no coercion. There's no force. Nobody's going to make me or you do anything from the eternal side. It's always presented as an invitation. So I'm extending an invitation based on the experiences that I had when I died and had those conversations with God and many other things that I know before that and after that. It isn't necessary to have that kind of an experience. In fact, sometimes I view myself as kind of thick-headed, and maybe I needed that to even wake up. Okay, so I believe and know, because I've met some people who connect with that truth and live powerfully into that truth of their own beingness without having to die first. So here's what this will do for you. Most truths that we think we know are fleeting. They're ephemeral. Sorry to use a big word. That means they evaporate. They're not constant. The truths about your divinity, your talents, and your mission are not. They're eternal, and they are there. They can be a bedrock on which you build your life. Now, some people then take that and say, okay, do I have to quit doing everything and just run and find my purpose and go live like that? That isn't what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is if you wake up and pay attention to your feelings and you cultivate your connection with the divine through intentional action, meditation, prayer, whatever that is, you can find and be directed to those things. And the alchemist, he calls them omens. Right? But they're really just direction signs, not just. They're powerful direction signs from the divine, because the divine did not put you or me here to flounder and to fail, but to focus and have faith and live into those opportunities. Now, the final thing about this eternal truth I want to give you is one other piece. And that is, sometimes people think, well, it's too late, I've missed too many opportunities, and other stories like that. What I also know is that it's never too late. No matter where you've been, no matter what's happened, no matter what you've failed to do in the past or done in the past, today and the future for you is blank. You have infinite opportunity starting right this second to move forward, to lean into the truths that we've discussed today and grab those eternal truths, make them the bedrock of who you are and what you are choosing to do as you move forward and create your ultimate life.
Open your heart and this time around.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. We hope that you take it deeply into your heart and decide for yourself how you can create anything you desire. If you like what you heard, please subscribe to this podcast and share it with your friends. As always, we'd love to hear your feedback and topic suggestions. Until tomorrow, this is Your Ultimate Life with host Kellan Fluckiger.
Stand with your heart in the sky and your feet